What is going on, guys? So I wanted to talk to you guys about Grok Heavy versus just like regular Grok Expert. Now, again, I don't really know or play around with all the different types all that much, but I do utilize Grok a whole heck of a lot. What I mean by I don't use the different types a whole lot is that I don't really pay attention that much to what I'm using. As far as like whether it's Grok 4.1 or whatever it may be. But generally, I'm running whatever the newest version of Grok is, and I also have been running Grok Heavy. Okay, so first caveat that I want to add in this particular video here is the Grok Heavy is like the $300 a month membership, and so it's like the most premium version of Grok. And then the other thing I want to add is I've been utilizing Grok Heavy from my phone primarily this past month. And the reasoning for that is I've been just on the go. I've been too busy. I haven't really been like at my desk and whatnot. So I go through phases where I'm like at my desk for like months at a time, and that's when I'm grinding like that. And then I go through phases where I'm not at my desk for months at a time, and so like my work and the way I utilize technology and stuff like that changes depending on what phase I'm at in life. So actually, I'm here at an Airbnb, one of our Airbnbs that we're about to launch, assembling some things. So I'm going to be assembling things while we talk because I got to be efficient with my time. If you know anything about me, that's one thing that I make sure that I do is that I'm extremely efficient with my time. And, you know, it's easy for me to shoot videos like these and do like these general assembly things. I'm building up some bar stools for this little bar that we have over here. But overall, I want to say I love Grok. My head's nappy too, dude. Damn. I want to say that I love Grok, and I think it's the best AI tool. Now, I've used ChatGPT, and I haven't been like power using them for a while. I do also have Gemini, not like the Pro $300 one, but we have like the Gemini like Premium, whatever it is. We have all of them pretty much at premium, but I primarily, if I'm going to use one of them outside of Grok, it's Gemini. And the reason why I use Gemini is because it's integrated with Google Workspace, which I think that's Gemini's number one advantage. And it's actually something that Grok will never be able to really compete on. Why? Because nobody else is using Grok or X Workspace or anything like that, right? So your companies like your Microsofts, your Googles so you have your Microsoft Teams, you have your Google Workspace. Those are the primary ones, right? That are full suites for like workspace softwares and stuff. So with that being said, like being able to pair Gemini with like your files, your meetings, your calendar, all those things, really powerful. Get off on a side tangent. I do that a lot because it's valuable information. But go back to Grok Heavy and Grok. The one thing that I like about Grok Heavy over regular Grok is I like the fact that it seems like it's sitting there taking forever to investigate, right? And honestly, I utilize Grok Heavy for, I'll say, somewhat simple questions. And the biggest thing is I want Grok Heavy to be doing comparisons. I want it to compare data for me. I want it to cross-check data. I want, if Grok is thinking in a certain type of mindset, that it has like the multiple comparisons of different mindsets, which is one of the biggest things from like Grok Heavy versus like just your standard Grok Premium or whatever, is that you have different agents. The different agents are supposed to have different perspectives to them that allow them to kind of like interpret data and search for data in a different manner than one another, right? So it's almost like you're having multiple AI models running in one go. Now they're going to be very similar. And so if I was to compare like what this action would look like and would actually be pretty powerful, is if you took all your search queries and you asked it in Grok, you asked it in Gemini, you asked it in ChatGPT, right? And then you kind of cross-reference all their information, and you kind of you took the output of each one of them, and you copied and pasted it to the other one and had it like cross-check it for the different thoughts or something like that. Basically, so that you have the different AI models working, with and against each other. And actually, I think something like that would be even more powerful than even having an AI model of Grok that only compares. I think actually somebody could create an AI model that does that. It takes all the AIs and kind of cross checks and compares and does all these different things. That would be like a really good like AI or user interface that would like become extremely powerful. But same way that Grok Heavy is, like that's why Grok Heavy is so powerful. It has all these different multi-agents, and these different multi-agents can again communicate with each other to come up with better answers, more true answers, more refined data, things like that. So what are some of the reasons or search queries that I'm using Grok for? Just to give you a perspective of like the type of things that I'm looking for and its significance. Okay, so a lot of what I'm using Grok for is to analyze the stock market. That's probably the most important one that I use it for. I'm using Grok to analyze the stock market and like pull up different like data points. I'm talking to Grok. Like I'll put on the Grok audio version, which is one of the reasons why I don't like Grok Heavy as much, right? Because I would like to be able to have my voice command and voice controls and then still get Grok Heavy results. Whereas actually I think the voice is actually like versions down from the like premium Grok. I could be wrong about that, but I am pretty positive like in the Tesla vehicles that the Grok that's in a Tesla vehicle is actually behind like what's in the Grok AI app or the Grok app. So, and it really matters, right? Because as AI grows, the time between them really matters. So okay, again, I'm looking at stocks. Another thing I'm doing is like market analyzation. Market analyzation meaning maybe for our automation company, we're looking for like where new manufacturing facilities are going to be built at, where new vehicle programs are going to be built at, and looking at things like what is the likelihood of it actually getting built there? What's the likelihood of it shifting to a different location? Like, and kind of like getting some more information to then build out like a target of customers and in particular geographical areas, and then also like on the engineering side, asking it questions about certain programs and just engineering things, right, that we can feed and get results on. Get to talk too much on that just due to like NDAs and stuff. But then for the properties company, kind of doing some of the same things, except for a lot of that we're looking at. We do primarily short-term rentals and Airbnbs, and with that being said, sorry, there they are. With that being said, we're looking for like different areas to expand into. So we've primarily been just doing like Evansville, Indiana. And we're looking to expand into like other surrounding areas, and then like what is the best next surrounding area, right? Or does it make sense for us to expand into a further out city, like us going all the way up to Indianapolis, or us going over to Henderson, Kentucky, or I'm just naming off like some cities that are either 30 minutes away or 2 hours away. Louisville, Kentucky, right? Maybe there's some names you've heard of. And so we're doing market research on that, right? We'll do market research on the optimization of our properties. We'll do market research on amenities and stuff like that, right? And honestly, I do so much on the property side of things because like the properties company is something that I'm really bootstrapping, and it's something I'm trying to grow with like pretty much little to no employees, whereas like my automation company has been like the opposite. It's pretty much entirely ran by employees. And so, one thing I've learned through business is like I like to reinvest in my companies. I like to spend a lot of money in my companies and growing them. And so the properties company, obviously we're kind of doing the same. But one thing I'm trying to be disciplined on is to be more profitable in the sense of like not reinvesting every single dollar every year. But, at least within this company, if we do reinvest every dollar, our revenues for the next year will have grown. And or can we like pay down some of the risk, aka debt, or remove some like liability on like especially a monthly basis. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about is like the monthly liability. So that way the company always cash flows positive, right? I want this to be the company that like pretty much always cash flows positive, and we never have to worry about it cash flowing positive unless there's like something catastrophic that occurs. Side tangent, but that's those are the type of things that I'm using Grok to search and do market analysis for and things like that, right? Oh, I use Grok Heavy actually. I was sitting at my desk at some point in time, and Grok Heavy helped me build out an entire. No, maybe this wasn't Grok Heavy. This was normal Grok. My bad. Normal Grok helped me build out a. When I say normal Grok, I'm referring to Grok Premium. I had it help me build out an entire spreadsheet that calculated every property we have and what its value will be at certain timestamps, like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, to do two things. One, determine like what our net worth will be at in a certain period of time, and two, to determine how much equity is in the property, so that way if we decide to cash out refi on that property, we know a timeline of when that is. So like instead of just guessing, we can look and say, okay, like 5 years out, if we refi this property, we pull X amount of dollars. It just kind of gives us like the ability to project those types of things. So now getting into the meat and potatoes of Grok Heavy versus your standard Grok. One major issue that I have with Grok Heavy, I'm not sure if it's doing this on the computer, but it's definitely doing it on mobile. And that is that the Grok Heavy crashes a lot. And it's really freaking annoying. Like probably 25% of my searches, maybe 20% of my searches crash, and then I have to retry them. I don't mind that it crashes and has to retry. That's not the problem. The issue is I'm doing other tasks whenever I'm asking Grok these questions, and then I come back to it 15 minutes later, and it's like, sorry, retry. I'm like, bruh, you could have just internally told yourself to retry. You shitting me? I got to click a button to say retry, and then you're going to retry? Like, this seems fucking stupid. Sorry, you can see it kind of frustrates me. Because, again, I use Grok all day. Like, I pretty much have a Grok Heavy or Grok something running almost, like, at least 50% of the time. At least 50% of the time I have a Grok. Sorry, guys, it's that time of the year. A Grok query running. And most of it's Grok Heavy. That's why it's taking so long. Which brings me to the next thing. That's one of the major downfalls with Grok Heavy. Is Grok Heavy takes quite a bit of a time to come back with an answer. Anywhere from 30 seconds to like 5 minutes. And it's most of the time 2 to 3 minute result time. And so it's like you ask an inquiry and then you go about doing your business and go do something else, whether it's on your phone or whether it's on your computer or whether it's on like in life. But like that's kind of what you do with it because it just takes so much time. And I don't mind it too because like if I can work on other things, keep coming back to it, asking some more questions. I get questions that pop up in my mind like earlier. So earlier, and this is what actually cued me to make this video, is I was looking up hot tubs for this Airbnb, and I'm wanting to get a market analysis on, and I've already done like a lot of hours of market analysis on this same thing, but I'm just asking it again. What is the impact of a hot tub at an Airbnb in Evansville, Indiana? So trying to get a justification if it makes sense for us to buy a hot tub. Now, I pretty much already intuitively know it does make sense, especially for this property because it's a nicer one. And from my past market research, I just recall that it says to do it. But I'm just trying to ask it again. I'm just trying to refresh. I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around it, and I'm just trying to think as we're getting closer to wrapping up this Airbnb. Is it something that we should like keep trying to pursue more hard, or should we just kind of put it to the wayside and wait some multiple months? Given why I don't want to wait multiple months is because it could generate more revenue. It could essentially give us more per month than what it would cost to buy the thing, especially if we can finance it. That's the big thing, if we can finance it. If we can finance it at a couple $100 a month, and if it generates us $250 a month, $230 a month, essentially we're out of pocket no money other than our monthly payment. So if it makes us an extra $100 a month, then that's a good investment, right? Now, the big thing to that is you have to be able to get finance for it. And like right now, this has been one of our biggest buying phases, and we put a lot of stuff on credit. We always put stuff on credit, right? We cash flow everything through credit, and that's another video, right? I don't want to get too much of a side tangent on that, but be careful with debt though, because it can really screw you. Be very conscious of it. But point being is asking Grok like whether it makes sense to do that or not. Okay. And I'm asking Grok Heavy. Why am I asking Grok Heavy? Because I want Grok Heavy to do some more analyzation. I want it to dig deeper. I feel like Grok Heavy digs deeper. It goes to more sources and checks more things, more data points, spends more time investigating and digging. This is like my biggest outlook on how they're so different. Heavy digs deeper, right? It might go through and look at Evansville, Indiana, Vanderburgh County, documents that are public access documents, and dig through all those, and dig through big data sets of like like data points on like how many people are traveling here to Evansville, Indiana, yeah, so Heavy's digging deeper. Heavy's digging deeper, whereas if I go with, Think Hard or Fast, I think it just goes less deep, right? It goes less deep, and also there's not the comparison there. So if one of them, I feel like one of the big things is it comes back with a result that is more true, that you don't have to re-roll it in the sense of it has already done some cross checks and comparisons with itself to confirm whether it's true or not. So, that's again the biggest thing. Now, whether Grok Heavy is worth it or not versus like just using the regular Grok Premium. Now, I would highly advise Grok Premium. Just first of all, I would highly advise Grok Premium. For Grok Heavy, whether it's worth it for you to buy Grok Heavy or not is if you make the return, if there's an ROI for it, okay? And what I mean by it being an ROI, like for example, for myself, it's stock markets. If I make $300 a month more because of some analyzation that I did with Grok, that's worth it for me. If I make $300 more a month because some analyzation I did for like buying a property or putting some amenity into a property, then it's worth it, right? And so that's what you really got to do. You got to justify. And then also your utilization matters. For example, I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I'm probably going to cancel Grok Heavy for at least like a month or two. I'm going to save that money, and just go back to Heavy until I'm back sitting at my desk again. When I'm back sitting at my desk again, I'll re-roll Heavy again. I'll resubscribe to Heavy. And because what's going to happen is when I'm sitting at my desk, that's when I go back into my analyzation phases. That's when I'm building out spreadsheets and cross-checking things and all that good stuff. And by the way, I primarily use Grok Heavy for research, but I'll give you another example of something that was like extremely useful that we just utilized recently. So we took like all of our past bills for like the past year for all of our different properties. We fed them to Grok, and then we said, build us a spreadsheet of the property, the date, the property, the date, and the amount, right? So instead of us having to manually enter each bill and what that bill amount was, we literally just downloaded them, uploaded them into Grok, said, give us a spreadsheet. We were able to grab that spreadsheet, copy and paste it into our Google Sheet, basically, and boom, done. So in that instance, that was like very, very useful. Now, given we did that with Grok Heavy, or not, we did that with Grok, Think Hard or whatever it was, right? We didn't use Grok Heavy, right? And I don't know that we would have gotten much advantage out of using a Grok Heavy on something like that. Now, given whenever I did when I built that one spreadsheet, it did kept having a lot of issues, and I feel like if I would have used Grok Heavy on that one, when I built that big spreadsheet that did all the analyzation of things, I was not using Grok Heavy, and I think Grok Heavy would have done a lot better because it got to points where I'd get really confused, and I'm like, bro, you're not fixing my problem that I'm having. Here's my problem. And it's like, oh, sorry, and then it'd give me some like fix that wasn't it. And I'm like, no, dude. And then I had to feed it the whole thing again. Almost like let's start over. Not quite let's start over, but like refeed it to it again and say, here's where we're at in the process, blah, blah, blah. And so that was kind of annoying. And maybe if it was Grok Heavy, it could have argued itself back and forth. Also, I don't know if this is a possibility, but it'd be nice if you could change Grok Heavy and Think Hard back and forth in the same like chat. Why is that? Because like maybe I just want to think. I just want to think hard right now. Think hard, think hard, think hard. Now it's confused. It can't figure it out. I flip it to Think Heavy, and then it can now just do some more thinking and try to work itself out with it instead of me having to argue with it back and forth. Which is another thing I'll do. If it starts frustrating me, I'll start arguing with it. I'm like, bro, you're a retard. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do like that, but I will like debate it. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, this is not that hard. Blah, blah, blah things. You know what I mean? And instead of like, I could like literally just do something myself and make it easier, I'll still debate it just to test its limits and test and see how it can fix itself and all that. It's also like a learning experience and not just a learning experience, it's an experience with the AI and just seeing its capabilities and its use cases. What's going on, Puppo? Freeze! 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 What's up, dude? He's tired today. He's played with his brother all day yesterday. But yeah, again, Grok Heavy, is it worth it or not? I would say if you're going to get an ROI from it, then it's worth it. If you just want to dabble around with it, play with it for a month, and just the experience of trying it out, I'll just say that, like, really, I don't feel like there's that much of a difference between Grok Heavy and, like, Think Hard. Again, it really only matters like if you want to really like do some like more deeper research where it matters, where like you're gonna have like a financial output from it, or maybe like if you was in college. I mean, this would be expensive for a college student anyway, but if you was in college and you was doing research on something, again, I'm using Grok and stuff mainly for research. Some other things as well, like whenever it pops up, whenever I think about using it for it. But research and analyzation is like the biggest thing, and like I love the voice model. Again, I wish you could have Heavy in the voice model or some like a more advanced version of the voice model. Because like a lot of times I'll put my headphones in, I'll be working doing something, blah blah blah, and like I'm just like talking to. I'm just talking to Grok about like maybe some like stock moves. Like this is what I just talked about just the other day. I just bought into a company called BE. BE is basically a energy generation company that just so happens to been making an energy generation source that just became super viable for AI data centers. So like really, this company's been around for a very long time, and it just hasn't really done anything. But now all of a sudden, like AI data centers need energy, and this source right here is like a direct matchup with what's really needed for AI data centers and stuff. So that they actually just dropped like quite a bit, and so I didn't know much about the company. So first of all, I'm doing more digging on the company itself, trying to understand some of its fundamentals and stuff like that. And from everything I was getting back, like it literally just flipped, like on its fundamentals. And like this is one of the best times to get involved in companies. Like whenever companies' fundamentals is like bad for a long period of time, and then they flip to being good, and they've kind of been working towards getting better, and then they finally broke through, like becoming profitable and stuff like that. That's a great time to generally invest, because generally people will sleep on the company for so long, especially if it doesn't already have like a lot of popularity and a lot of notoriety. They just get slept on, you know. And so I am also always looking for investments that are relative to AI, but not directly AI, right? I don't want to invest all my money into the companies that everybody's thinking of, right? Like your Nvidia, Palantir. These are some of the big dog companies, right? I want to invest my money in other places that other people are not thinking about. Things that like might wake up over time, where it's like, oh, holy crap, like their revenues and their profitability just 10x overnight, you know, and then that stock can 10x overnight because everybody was sleeping on this company and didn't realize what they were about to do. So, yeah, again, I'm looking for other opportunities like that, and I'm using Grok to search and look for these opportunities, right? I'm going through all these analyzations, and so I'm explaining this and side tangenting that because I think it's important to understand like my thought process and what I'm doing whenever I'm doing these Grok searches and why they're important, you know? So again, I went through and I started learning about the company, starting to learn about the company's fundamentals, and I'm doing all this talking with Grok. Grok, oh, what about this? What about that? You know what I mean? And I had to cut Grok off too because she talks too much. That's one thing I wish you could change. I wish you could change this, how much she talks, and also how fast she talks. Because when she starts talking about numbers and it's like she just gave you like 37 numbers and all these different data points, I'm like, whoa, dude, hold on. Let's repeat that. And I'll have to have them repeat that like 6, 7 times, you know? And I tried to do a recording of it because it'd be awesome. I really wanted to just post up live recordings of me just chit-chatting with Grok. But I couldn't find like a good way to record it. I tried to do like a screen recording, and then it didn't record any audio, so I could maybe play around with it some more. But I wanted to do live ones so that way you guys could like really see the exact things I'm discussing with Grok and like how that communication's going. But yeah, again, couldn't figure it out a way to get the recording, not without sitting in front of the camera, and I don't got time for that right now. Which is why I'm just like doing some of these videos where I'm just like pointing and shooting, and I'm like doing stuff while I'm shooting these videos, because like I want to stay on top of making videos, but then again I got other more important stuff to do besides make videos. So yeah, thanks for reviewing, guys. Let me know if that was interesting, educational, informative. And if you want me to dive like any deeper into Grok Heavy and you know, and like think hard and stuff like that, I can make some more videos, or if you have specific questions, I'm open to answer those. I feel really the comparison's pretty simple between the two. I know we made a 30-minute video on like, you know, how similar they are, like, you know, with what little bit of like is actually there between the two, but it's just because they're so much the same, you know. The one of them researches more, and I did explain those things. So the one of them just researches more things, takes longer to research, fails quite often, and you have to re-roll it, do a retry, just click a button, retry. I don't know why they don't have that fixed, just retry itself. I don't need to know that it failed. Maybe if it tried 6 times and still failed. Think hard is really fast, man. Especially if you put it on quick, fast answer. So this is like Grok 4.1 or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but think fast, like it's really fast. Even since I use Grok Heavy so much, even think hard is not very slow at all to me at all. So, and it does a really good job. It still does a really good job. And sometimes, like, if Grok Heavy keeps failing on me, there's sometimes where it won't re-roll it. Then I'll roll it on like Think Hard, because I'll just get tired of trying to deal with Grok Heavy, especially if it, like, generally you can always get it Grok Heavy to work, but sometimes it's like the third time it's failed, and I'm like, dude, I don't got time for this. I got other things to do, bro. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Subscribe for more.